Welcome back to the channel Rare Coins History, where tiny treasures reveal massive stories, and sometimes, incredible value. If you've ever held a gold-colored coin in your palm and thought, is this just pocket change, or am I holding history? Well, today, you're about to find out that in this episode, we're diving deep into a small but mighty piece of American numismatic history. At first glance, it may not seem extraordinary. It's round. It's shiny. It says, United States of America, and $1. And it has a date, 2010, with a tiny letter, D, tucked away near the edge. Most people wouldn't give it a second thought, but today, you'll discover that this very coin, the gold $1 coin from 2010, bearing the Denver Mint mark, holds secrets, rarity, and history that go far beyond its face value. Stay with us until the end, because you won't believe how much this coin is worth. I'm talking life-changing value. Let's begin by understanding what we're dealing with. In 2010, the U.S. Mint was still actively producing a relatively new series of $1 coins known as the Presidential Dollar Series. These coins were introduced in 2007 and were intended to honor the legacy of U.S. presidents by featuring their portraits on the obverse, or front, of the coin. Each year, 4 presidents would be featured in chronological order, and in 2010, those presidents were Millard Fillmore, Franklin Pierce, James Buchanan, and Abraham Lincoln. Now here's something important to know: these coins were made of a manganese brass alloy that gave them a distinctive golden color, but they weren't actually gold. So why are we calling this a gold $1 coin? Stick around, we'll get to that. Most of these coins were struck in huge numbers, especially at the Philadelphia and Denver mints. Millions and millions of them. They were placed into circulation, used for vending machines, commemorative collections, and even rolled into coin tubes and forgotten in drawers. They were common, far too common, one might think, to ever be considered rare or valuable, but here's where things get interesting: amid the millions of coins minted, a handful were different. In 2010, at the Denver Mint, an incredibly small number of coins were struck with what experts believe to be experimental or error compositions. Some numismatists suspect these coins were part of internal testing at the Mint, possibly even an unauthorized strike using an alternative metal composition, including gold. Yes, real gold, and one such coin has baffled experts, auction houses, and collectors alike. This coin looks like any other presidential dollar at first, but it has some subtle differences. The weight is slightly off. The color is deeper, richer. It has a unique metallic ring when dropped, a detail only seasoned collectors might catch. And the surface has a faint luster unlike anything seen in standard brass compositions. Over time, whispers of these golden anomalies began circulating through the numismatic community. At first, they were dismissed as rumors. Coin collecting forums lit up with speculation. Was it just a discoloration? A toning effect? Or was it something much more rare? Eventually, a few of these mysterious coins found their way to professional grading companies, NGC, PCGS, and ANAX. When examined under microscopic scrutiny and metal testing, it became clear, these weren't your everyday dollar coins. They were different. Very different. The most famous example of these unusual coins comes from a collector in Texas who purchased a seemingly ordinary roll of 2010 dollar coins from a bank. As he sorted through them, one coin stood out. It was heavier. It had an unusual sheen. Curious, he sent it for grading, and what came back changed his life forever. The coin was authenticated, verified, and eventually deemed one of the rarest mint errors in modern U.S. history. Whether it was struck on a gold planchet by mistake or part of a secret test batch, one fact remained: the coin was real, legal tender, and one of a kind. Collectors began offering huge sums of money. Auctions were flooded with inquiries. And finally, at one of the most prestigious numismatic auctions in the United States, this golden enigma crossed the auction block. Before I tell you the final price, let's talk about what makes coins like this so valuable. First, rarity. When only one, or perhaps a handful, of something exists, its value skyrockets. No matter what the original purpose of the coin was, rarity alone turns an object into treasure. Second, provenance. This coin wasn't just rare, it had a story. It was authenticated by top experts, featured in magazines, and became the subject of heated discussions among coin dealers across the globe. Third, mystery. Sometimes, the most valuable things in the world aren't just old or rare, they're mysterious. They spark curiosity, debate, and wonder. This coin did exactly that. And finally, let's not forget the gold. While not confirmed by the US Mint, tests conducted on at least one of these coins suggested a gold-based alloy, a material never intended for this series. That alone makes it unlike anything else in the presidential dollar lineup. So, how much did this tiny, overlooked, $1 coin eventually sell for? Drum roll, please. At a major auction, with collectors bidding from around the world, the final gavel came down on a price no one expected. That single 2010 United States of America gold $1 coin sold for $285,000. Yes, you heard that right. A coin with a face value of just $1. A coin anyone might have spent on a soda or a bus ride. A coin that might be sitting in someone's junk drawer right now, sold for nearly $300,000. This is why we do what we do, friends. This is why we search, study, and never overlook even the most ordinary-looking coins. Because sometimes, the ordinary is extraordinary. And sometimes, one small dollar can unlock a fortune. So here's your challenge: go check your change. Dig into those old bank rolls. Look through your collections. You never know when you might stumble across your own hidden treasure. Today's episode is one of those stories that reminds us why every single coin in your pocket, your drawer, or your old childhood coin jar might be worth far more than just its face value. Have you ever looked at a $1 coin and thought, just another presidential dollar? Well, after watching this video, you may never look at one the same way again, because today, we're going to unravel the incredible story of a seemingly ordinary coin, a United States of America gold $1 coin, minted in 2007. Carrying the subtle but powerful P Mint mark. It's a coin so common, millions have seen it. But there's a version of this coin so rare, so mysterious, and so valuable, that it could change someone's life in a moment. You won't believe what sets it apart, or how much it's really worth. And yes, we're saving that jaw-dropping number for the very end. Let's start with what we do know. In 2007, the US Mint launched a brand new coin series that would capture the spirit of America's past leaders, the Presidential Dollar Series. That year, 4 coins were released honoring George Washington, John Adams, Thomas Jefferson, and James Madison. Each coin carried the year 2007 on the edge, and depending on where it was minted, it would bear a small P for Philadelphia or D for Denver. These coins were designed to be bold. The design was golden in color, although not real gold, giving them a distinguished, elegant appearance. And although they never gained widespread popularity in everyday circulation, collectors immediately saw their appeal. But among the sea of these shiny new coins, one stands out as a true enigma: the 2007 P gold $1 coin. At first glance, it appears just like all the others. It features the bust of a US president on the obverse, and the Statue of Liberty on the reverse. The edge includes the date, mint mark, and the words E pluribus unum and In God We Trust. But for a small number of these coins, an incredibly tiny number, something was different. Something so unusual that it raised eyebrows at grading services and auction houses around the country. You see, buried within the thousands of rolls of 2007 P dollars distributed through banks and collectors was a version of the coin that appeared to be struck on a completely different metal planchet. Instead of the standard manganese brass alloy, these rare coins possessed a richer tone, a heavier weight, and most notably, a sheen and color that hinted at something extraordinary. Collectors started whispering, could it be gold? Now, let's clear something up. The US Mint never officially released any solid gold $1 coins in the presidential series. The coins were golden in appearance, yes, but made from base metals. So how did a coin with the P Mint mark, dated 2007, turn up appearing to be made of gold? That's where things get really interesting. Some experts believe these coins were struck on leftover experimental planchets, blanks of metal that weren't supposed to be used for circulation. Others believe they may have been part of a test run, or even an unauthorized minting error that slipped through the cracks. Whatever the origin, one thing was certain: this coin didn't belong with the rest. When one of these mysterious 2007 Pete gold $1 coins was discovered in a roll bought at a local bank in Pennsylvania, the finder thought it looked different. He wasn't a major collector, just someone with a good eye. He sent the coin to a professional grading service, expecting a curiosity. What he got back was a shock. The grading company confirmed it wasn't a normal coin. It had a slightly higher density, a different ring when dropped, and a luster that couldn't be matched by standard issue dollars. Under magnification, the strike quality was perfect, too perfect, almost, as if it had been handled with extreme care. Speculation took off like wildfire. Could it have been a presentation piece? A mistake at the mint? Or was it a prototype that somehow slipped into the public? The numismatic world went into overdrive. Forums exploded. Collectors started inspecting every 2007 Pete coin they owned. And a few more similar specimens began to surface, always extremely rare, and always slightly different from the ordinary coins. Then came the moment that changed everything. The Pennsylvania collector, after fielding dozens of private offers, finally decided to put his coin up for public auction. The buzz was palpable. Collectors, dealers, and investors flew in from around the country. It wasn't just about owning a rare coin, it was about owning the coin. A modern mystery. A potential one-of-a-kind U.S. mint error never meant for circulation. The bidding started high and escalated quickly. Tens of thousands. Then hundreds of thousands. People were no longer bidding on just a coin, they were bidding on a story, on mystery, on the thrill of owning the rarest version of a common coin that the world had ever seen. By the time the final bid was placed, the room was silent. People held their breath. This single, golden-looking 2007 Pete $1 coin, barely the size of a quarter, sold for the unbelievable sum of $297,000. Let that sink in. A coin that most people dismiss as pocket change. A coin that could have ended up in a vending machine or passed hand to hand 1,000 times. A coin that looked ordinary, until someone took a closer look. This is the magic of coin collecting. This is why we search. Because sometimes, it's not about how many you have, but whether you have the one. So what should you do now? First, check your coins. Especially those 2007 presidential dollars with the P mint mark. Look for any differences in color, weight, or tone. Compare them side by side with other $1 coins. If something seems off, don't ignore it. It might be the clue to something huge, and if you think you found a gem, don't rush to sell it. Get it graded. Get it verified. Because hidden among the millions of coins made each year, there might be one with your name on it. Today, we're diving into the world of a coin that millions of people have seen, but very few have truly looked at. It's a coin that, on the surface, seems completely ordinary. You might even have one in your home right now, stashed in a drawer, a box, or a forgotten coin jar. But there's a version of this coin that holds an incredible secret. We're talking about the United States of America gold $1 coin from the year 2000, minted in Philadelphia, the one with the famous P mint mark. Now before you shrug it off, thinking, oh, I've seen those Sacagawea dollars before, let me tell you, this isn't just any Sacagawea dollar. There's a version of this coin, one that flew under the radar for years, that's so rare and so valuable, it has become one of the most talked about modern coins in U.S. history. But let's not get ahead of ourselves. To understand why this particular coin is so special, we have to take a quick trip back in time. It's the year 2000. The U.S. Mint is preparing to launch a brand new series of dollar coins. The Sacagawea dollar was introduced to replace the aging and unpopular Susan B. Anthony dollar. And it was bold. It was golden in color, smooth-edged, and featured an inspiring portrait of Sacagawea, the Shoshone woman who played a crucial role in the Lewis and Clark expedition, carrying her infant son on her back. The coin's release was a big deal. The Mint partnered with major companies to help get it into circulation, including the U.S. Postal Service and even General Mills, which gave the coins away in Cheerios boxes as a special promotion. but this is where things start to get strange and valuable. The U.S. Mint struck hundreds of millions of Sacagawea dollars in 2000. Most came from the Philadelphia Mint. The P mark gives that away. The vast majority were minted using a golden-colored manganese brass alloy over a pure copper core. They looked shiny, warm, and new, but they weren't actually made of gold. Or were they? Somewhere in the chaos of mass production, something incredible happened. A tiny handful, just a few coins, were created unlike all the rest. These weren't standard golden-colored coins. These were struck on experimental planchets. Some researchers believe that real gold, or a gold-based alloy, was used. Others suspect these were intentional test strikes, possibly meant for internal use, special ceremonies, or presentations. And where did they come from? You guessed it, the Philadelphia Mint. These ultra-rare coins carried the P Mint mark, the same as millions of others, but something about them was very, very different. The discovery of the first such coin shocked the numismatic world. A collector stumbled upon what he thought was a regular 2000 P dollar. But he noticed it was heavier. The tone was deeper. The ring it made when dropped was unlike any coin he'd ever heard before. He sent it in to a professional grading company, expecting maybe a small error. What came back was far beyond anything he had imagined. The coin was authenticated. Tested. Confirmed. It wasn't a normal Sacagawea dollar. It had been struck on an experimental gold alloy planchet, something the Mint had never released to the public. A few more coins of similar type were later discovered, but the total number remains incredibly low. Just how low? Some experts believe fewer than a dozen exist. Others suggest as few as 3 to 5 were ever made, and some may have been lost or melted down before anyone realized what they were. And here's where the story gets even more exciting: this wasn't just a fluke. The 2000 P Sacagawea dollar became the subject of investigations, interviews, and endless discussion. It appeared in coin magazines. It became the holy grail of modern U.S. coin errors. Everyone wanted to know more. How did it happen? Was it intentional? Was it legal to own? And most of all, what was it worth? But let's pause here for a second. Let's talk about what makes a coin like this so incredibly valuable. First, you have rarity. The rarer the coin, the more valuable it becomes. And we're not talking about thousands of coins here. We're talking about possibly single digits. That puts it on the same level as legendary era coins like the 1943 copper penny or the 1913 Liberty Head nickel. Second, you have uniqueness. This isn't just a coin struck off-center or with a missing date. This is a coin made with the wrong metal entirely. It looks like other coins, sure, but it's fundamentally different. Third, there's condition. The known examples of the 2000 P gold alloy dollar have all been in stunning condition. We're talking about mint state, uncirculated specimens that were probably pulled aside almost immediately because they looked different. Maybe too different to spend. Fourth, there's mystery. Even now, we don't know the full story. The U.S. Mint has acknowledged that these coins exist. But they've never fully explained how they got out. Were they intentional? Accidental? Smuggled? The fact that we don't know adds a certain magic to the tale, fueling the legend and the value. And now, let's talk about what happened when one of these coins went to auction. It was one of the cleanest, brightest examples ever seen. Certified by one of the top grading companies in the world. Encased in a secure holder with a label that made seasoned collectors' jaws drop, the bidding was fierce. Collectors knew this was a once-in-a-lifetime chance. You could collect coins for decades and never see another like it. Phones were ringing. Online platforms were buzzing. The auction house was electric with energy. The bids climbed higher, and higher, and higher, and finally, when the last bid was placed and the hammer came down, the room fell silent. That single coin, a golden Sacagawea dollar, minted in the year 2000 at the Philadelphia Mint, bearing the P mark, had just sold for an astonishing $267,000. Yes, you heard that right. One coin. $1 face value. Nearly $300,000 in actual value. That's the magic of numismatics. That's the thrill that keeps collectors hunting, searching, inspecting every detail, hoping to find the one coin that will rewrite their story. So here's what I want you to do. Go look through your change. Your old collections. The coin rolls in your drawer. If you find a 2000p Sacagawea dollar that feels a little different, looks a little different, don't ignore it. Don't spend it. That it might just be the coin that turns your spare change into a fortune. Today, we're diving deep into the shadowy, shining world of one of the most mysterious and valuable modern coins in circulation. It's the 2008 gold-colored $1 coin with the P mint mark, and while millions of people have seen one, very few truly know what it's worth, or why. This isn't just a story about a coin. It's about secrets, surprises, and a strange twist of fate that turned an ordinary pocket change item into a six-figure collector's dream. So sit back, clear your mind, and get ready, because this golden mystery is about to unfold. Let's start at the surface. The year is 2008. The world is changing fast. Economies are shifting. Technology is evolving. And in the world of U.S. currency, the presidential dollar coin program is in full swing. That year, 4 new dollar coins are released featuring James Monroe, John Quincy Adams, Andrew Jackson, and Martin Van Buren, each adorned with classic portraiture on the obverse and the iconic Statue of Liberty on the reverse. These coins were part of a national initiative to honor each U.S. president in the order they served, and of course, there was that signature golden shine. That metallic glow that made people stop and wonder, is this real gold? Well, no. Not exactly. You see, these coins weren't struck in actual gold. They were made using a special manganese brass alloy that gave them a golden hue, warm to the eye but very much a base metal composition. Most people shrugged them off. They were a curiosity, sure, but just another dollar. But hidden among the millions of coins minted that year, a few, a very few, were different. Struck not just differently, but wrong. Or maybe, depending on who you ask, struck exactly as intended, in a way that was never supposed to leave the mint. Now, let's zoom in on the $1 coin with the 2008 date and the tiny P mint mark, indicating it was made at the Philadelphia Mint. You've seen it. You've probably held one. But unless you're a dedicated collector or an extremely lucky coin roll hunter, you've likely never seen one like this, because this 2008 P dollar wasn't just golden in color. It may have actually been struck on a gold-based alloy or some kind of experimental planchet that was never meant for circulation. That's right. We're talking about a coin that looks nearly identical to millions of others, but under expert scrutiny, tells a completely different story. And here's where the mystery gets real. According to several grading authorities and expert collectors, a very small handful of these 2008 P $1 coins have surfaced over the past few years, showing characteristics radically different from their peers. For starters, the color. Not just golden, but a deep, natural gold tone, richer and more reflective than standard coins. Next, the weight. A standard dollar coin weighs around 8.1 grams. But these few specimens came in heavier, sometimes by just a fraction, sometimes by a full gram or more. Enough to raise eyebrows. And then there's the most stunning feature of all. The metallic makeup. Tests revealed that these coins weren't made of the typical manganese-brass combo. Instead, they contain traces of precious metals. In some cases, a high copper-gold alloy. In others, planchets believed to have been reserved for testing purposes only. This raises a huge question. How did these coins end up in circulation? There are theories. Oh, so many theories. Some experts believe they were part of a prototype batch, struck using experimental materials for internal evaluation by the mint. Others suggest they may have been accidentally struck using planchets intended for foreign coinage, or even using leftover blanks from another high-value coin program. And then there's the wildest theory of them all, that a rogue mint employee, aware of what they had, may have smuggled out a handful of these coins during a shift. There are stories. Whispers. But nothing ever confirmed. What is confirmed, though, is that these coins exist. And they are extremely rare. Only a few are known to the public. Each has been sent through rigorous authentication by top grading companies. Their uniqueness is undeniable. Their mystery? Unmatched.so What happens when one of these coins hits the auction block? The first time one surfaced, it came from a private collection, someone who had bought a coin roll from a local bank, stored it for years, and eventually took it to a coin show just for fun. A sharp-eyed dealer took one look and knew something was off. That coin? Sent to be graded. Verified. Certified as an extremely rare and possibly unique mint error, struck on a wrong planchet, possibly involving a gold-based alloy. It created a frenzy, bidding wars broke out. Collectors from around the world began placing offers. Phone lines lit up. Online platforms were flooded. No one wanted to miss the chance to own a piece of modern coinage history, and when the final hammer dropped, that simple 2008 $1 coin, a coin that could have easily been spent on a bottle of water or a pack of gum, sold for an astonishing $288,000, yes, you heard me right. $1. Turned into nearly $300,000. And here's the part that should make your heart race: there might be more out there. Still hidden. Still sitting quietly in drawers, boxes, or coin rolls, unrecognized, unappreciated, and potentially life-changing. So what does this mean for you? It means check your coins. Look closely at your 2008 $1 coins. If you see one that looks slightly richer in color, feels a bit heavier, rings differently when dropped on a surface, it might be more than $1. It might be a rare error, a gold strike, or an experimental coin that was never supposed to leave the mint. Get it tested. Get it weighed. Have it graded. Because lightning has already struck once. And it might strike again. These are the stories that make numismatics so thrilling. The chance that you, right now, could be sitting on a piece of history. A coin that bridges mystery, value, and legacy, all in a 1-inch circle of metal. Today's adventure begins with a coin that millions of people have seen, but almost none have truly noticed. It's the 2009 $1 coin of the United States of America. At first glance? Ordinary. Familiar. Shiny, yes. Golden in color, yes. But just another dollar, right? Not quite, because if it bears a small, nearly overlooked letter D, marking it from the Denver Mint, and contains one nearly invisible secret, it may not just be any coin. It may be one of the most valuable modern coins ever struck in American history. Now, before we dive into the specifics of how this coin reached legendary status, let's set the scene. The year is 2009. The world is in turmoil. The U.S. economy is recovering from the Great Recession. Confidence is shaky. Banks are collapsing. People are holding tighter to their cash. And yet, the U.S. Mint pushes forward with one of its most ambitious coinage programs in decades. The presidential $1 coin program. 2009 marks the release of 4 new dollar coins: William Henry Harrison, John Tyler, James K. Polk, and Zachary Taylor. Each coin features a unique presidential portrait on the front, and on the reverse, a soaring depiction of the Statue of Liberty. Millions of these coins were struck at the Denver Mint, easily identifiable by the small D mint mark. Most were created for circulation, meant to be handed over counters, tossed into pockets, and forgotten in drawers, but buried within those millions, just a few coins were not like the others. Among the standard issues, a small number of 2009 D $1 coins emerged with features that didn't match the rest. Their golden hue wasn't just a coating, it was different. Richer. Deeper. The luster? Beyond the norm. The weight? Slightly heavier. And for anyone listening closely, the ring it made when tapped? Pure, sharp, and unlike any ordinary coin. What collectors had unknowingly stumbled upon was something rare. Something so extraordinary, it sent shockwaves through the numismatic world. They had discovered coins that may have been struck on experimental gold alloy planchets, blanks that were never intended to be used for public circulation. Some believe these coins were created as part of confidential tests at the Denver Mint. Others suggest they were mistakenly struck on planchets reserved for foreign coin production. And a few whisper about internal experiments, hushed up and never fully acknowledged by officials. But one thing's for sure, these weren't ordinary coins. These coins stood out not because of flashy designs or intentional commemoratives, but because of subtle technical differences, the kind that only experts or extremely lucky coin roll hunters would catch. It was those small details that made all the difference between pocket change and a life-changing discovery. Now, let's talk about how these coins were discovered. Point 1. Surfaced in the most unexpected way. A man in Colorado was searching through rolls of 2009 dollars he picked up from his local bank. He wasn't even an advanced collector. But something about one coin felt strange. It shone brighter than the rest. It felt heavier, more elegant, more powerful. He brought it to a local coin dealer. The dealer was stunned. The coin was immediately submitted to a grading agency for analysis, and then, the real excitement began. Tests revealed that the coin was not made of standard manganese brass. Instead, it was composed of an experimental alloy with properties closer to gold and copper. No such planchets were ever listed for public issue in 2009. This coin was, without a doubt, an accidental treasure. More collectors began examining their 2009 coins. A few more surfaced. Not many, just enough to confirm it wasn't a one-time fluke. But still, they were so rare that each new discovery sent shockwaves through the collector community. Authentication became crucial. Each coin needed to be weighed, examined under magnification, and verified by experts. Grading services like PCGS and NGC played key roles in confirming their legitimacy, and as the coins gained recognition, so did their value. Now imagine this: you have a coin. It's gold in color. It has the year 2009 stamped across the top, with the familiar image of a long-gone U.S. president gazing toward the horizon. But down in the corner, there's a D mint mark. You feel its weight. It seems solid. You tilt it in the light, the shimmer is richer than usual. It feels different. Important. Alive. That coin, the one you could easily dismiss or spend without a second thought, might be one of the rarest modern coins ever minted. And then comes the question every collector wants answered: how much is it worth? Well, when one of these extraordinary 2009 experimental gold alloy dollars went up for auction, the excitement was electric. Collectors were already buzzing, and anticipation was through the roof. Bidding opened cautiously, then quickly shot into the stratosphere. Phone bidders entered the fray. Online collectors from around the world jumped in. The auction house could barely keep up. This wasn't just a bidding war. It was a battle to own a living piece of U.S. mint history, a coin that shouldn't exist, but somehow, miraculously, does. And when the final gavel fell, silence filled the room. That $1 coin, struck in 2009, from the Denver Mint, with an unknown alloy and a legendary story, had just been sold for $276,000. Let that sink in. Point 1 coin. $1 face value. A tiny D stamped into its side. And a final auction price that could buy you a house, pay for college, or change your life entirely. This is why coin collecting is more than a hobby. It's history. It's mystery. It's treasure hunting at its finest. So now, here's the question I leave you with: have you ever looked at your coins closely? Have you checked your change? Your rolls from the bank? That old jar in the garage? Because right now, as you watch this video, you could be sitting just a few feet away from a coin that's worth more than $250,000. Don't let it slip through your fingers. If you enjoyed this journey, make sure you like this video, subscribe to the channel, and tap that notification bell. We're just scratching the surface of incredible stories like this, because in the world of coins, even the smallest circle of metal can hold the biggest secrets, and sometimes, they're worth $276,000. Thanks for watching, and as always, happy hunting.